Mace Windu stood, his purple lightsaber glowing with righteous fury, as he stared down Darth Sidious in the Chancellor's office on Coruscant. The air was electric with tension, the crackle of lightsabers resonating in the chamber. Palpatine's Sith lightning had failed against Windu's masterful deflection, leaving the Sith Lord at the mercy of the Jedi Master. In this alternate path of the galaxy, Anakin Skywalker arrived moments too late, or perhaps just late enough. Instead of interrupting, instead of succumbing to the gnawing whispers of the dark side urging him to intervene, Anakin paused in the doorway, frozen between loyalty and doubt. With one decisive motion, Windu drove his blade through Palpatine's chest. The Sith Lord let out an unearthly wail as the darkness seemed to peel away from him, his powers dissolving into the void. His body crumpled, lifeless, to the floor. Anakin's breath hitched as he took in the sight, and Windu turned to him, the exhaustion evident in his stance, but his resolve unbroken. "Skywalker," Windu said, his voice low but firm. "The Sith are no more." This singular act rippled across the galaxy, altering its destiny. Without Darth Sidious's cunning manipulation, the grand design of the Sith to overthrow the Republic and establish an empire faltered. The aftermath of that fateful moment was both a triumph and a tragedy, leading to a galaxy reshaped in ways no one could have foreseen. In the immediate aftermath, the Jedi Council faced an unprecedented challenge. Palpatine's death left a power vacuum at the highest levels of the Republic, one that threatened to destabilize the fragile galactic government. The war with the Separatists had not yet concluded, and without Palpatine's orchestration, the Republic's leadership scrambled to maintain cohesion. The Jedi, now vindicated in their suspicions about the Chancellor, found themselves thrust into the political arena far more directly than they were comfortable with. Mace Windu, as the man who had slain the Sith Lord, became a figure of both reverence and controversy. Some within the Senate hailed him as a hero who had saved the Republic from tyranny, while others accused him of overstepping the Jedi's mandate. The Jedi Council, for its part, grappled with the moral and philosophical implications of what had transpired. Windu had acted decisively, but his actions raised questions about the Jedi's role as peacekeepers versus warriors. The line between justice and vengeance had been blurred, and the Order found itself divided on how to proceed. Anakin Skywalker's journey, however, was perhaps the most profoundly altered. Witnessing the death of Darth Sidious shattered the dark allure that had begun to take hold of him. Without the Sith Lord's insidious influence whispering promises of power and the ability to save Padmé, Anakin's path took a different course. Yet, the seeds of doubt and frustration with the Jedi Order remained. He struggled to reconcile his loyalty to the Order with the deep-seated belief that they had failed to understand him, to trust him. Windu, recognizing the potential danger Anakin still posed, took a more direct approach in mentoring the young Jedi. He sought to guide Anakin through his inner turmoil, emphasizing discipline and self-reflection. While their relationship was fraught with tension, Windu's efforts bore fruit. Anakin began to rebuild his faith in the Jedi, though the process was neither smooth nor without setbacks. Padmé Amidala, meanwhile, found herself drawn deeper into the complexities of galactic politics, her efforts to promote peace and reform gaining newfound urgency in the wake of Palpatine's death. The war itself shifted dramatically. With Sidious gone, Count Dooku and General Grievous were left without the unifying force that had driven the Separatist movement. Dooku, though powerful and cunning, lacked the grand vision and manipulative prowess of his master. The Separatist Council, a disparate collection of corporate interests and independent systems, began to fracture without Sidious's iron grip. The Republic capitalized on this disarray, and the war began to tilt decisively in their favor. Yet victory was not without its costs. The clone army, bred and programmed to follow orders without question, became a point of contention. The Jedi, having uncovered fragments of the truth about Order 66, moved to dismantle the chips implanted in the clones that would have turned them against the Jedi. This decision created friction between the Jedi and the Republic military leadership, as well as among the clones themselves. Some clones welcomed the removal of the chips, valuing their newfound autonomy, while others struggled with the loss of purpose and direction. As the Republic began to stabilize, the question of the Jedi's role in governance loomed large. The Council, wary of becoming enmeshed in political affairs, sought to withdraw from direct involvement. However, the galaxy's perception of the Jedi had shifted. They were no longer seen solely as noble guardians of peace, but as powerful figures capable of influencing the course of history. This perception bred both admiration and resentment. Mace Windu, reluctantly taking on a leadership role within the Council, advocated for reforms within the Order. He recognized that the Jedi had grown complacent and disconnected from the people they served. Under his guidance, the Order began to reevaluate its teachings and practices, seeking to strike a balance between tradition and adaptation to a changing galaxy. Windu's reforms included greater engagement with the citizens of the Republic and a renewed emphasis on empathy and understanding in the training of young Jedi. Anakin, still a central figure in the Jedi's future, found himself at the forefront of this transformation. Though he struggled with the weight of his past and the loss of what could have been, he ultimately emerged as a symbol of hope and redemption. His connection to the Force, unparalleled and enigmatic, became a source of inspiration for those who sought to understand the complexities of the Jedi way. The galaxy, meanwhile, began to heal. The war's end brought a fragile peace, and efforts to rebuild gained momentum. Padmé, working alongside Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, spearheaded initiatives to address the root causes of the conflict. Their vision of a more inclusive and equitable republic resonated with many, though it faced staunch opposition from entrenched interests that had profited from the war. Yet the shadow of the Sith lingered. Though Sidious was dead, the dark side was not so easily extinguished. The ancient teachings of the Sith, their artifacts and holocrons, remained scattered across the galaxy. The Jedi, recognizing the persistent threat, launched a concerted effort to uncover and secure these remnants of darkness. This mission brought them into conflict with various factions, from treasure hunters to secretive cults, all seeking to claim the Sith legacy for their own purposes. In the absence of the Empire, regional conflicts and power struggles erupted in various corners of the galaxy. The Outer Rim, long neglected by the Republic, became a hotbed of unrest. Criminal syndicates, warlords, and rogue factions vied for control, creating chaos that the Republic struggled to contain. The Jedi, spread thin, faced the daunting task of addressing these challenges while remaining true to their principles. Through it all, the galaxy grappled with the legacy of the Sith and the Jedi alike. Palpatine's death had averted one darkness, but it left unanswered questions about the nature of power and the responsibility of those who wield it. The Republic, the Jedi Order, and the galaxy at large stood at a crossroads, their fates intertwined in a complex and uncertain future. The galaxy was forever changed by that moment in Palpatine's office on Coruscant, when Mace Windu struck down the Sith Lord. It was a moment of both triumph and uncertainty, a reminder that even the most decisive actions carry consequences that ripple outward, shaping destinies in ways that cannot always be foreseen. In this altered timeline, hope endured, but it was tempered by the knowledge that the struggle for balance and peace is an eternal one, fought not only in the stars but within the hearts of all who call the galaxy home. As the galaxy transitioned from the shadow of war, the Republic began to confront its internal contradictions. The death of Darth Sidious and the unraveling of his grand Sith plan had averted a galactic dictatorship, but it left the Republic fractured and vulnerable. The Jedi Order, now a symbol of both salvation and contention, faced an existential crossroads, their very purpose called into question. For Mace Windu, his decision to kill Sidious became a defining point of his legacy. Though hailed as the man who had vanquished the Sith, he was also scrutinized for the act. Among the Jedi, debates raged over whether Windu's choice represented the ideals of the Order or a dangerous departure from them. Windu himself, deeply introspective, acknowledged the weight of what he had done. He argued that while the Jedi must hold themselves to the highest moral standards, they must also act decisively when the stakes demanded. This philosophy began to shape the reforms within the Order. The Jedi Council embarked on a period of deep self-reflection. They recognized that their detachment from galactic affairs had allowed the Sith to rise unnoticed. To address this, they initiated outreach programs aimed at forging stronger bonds with the citizens of the Republic. Jedi Knights were dispatched not merely as peacekeepers but as envoys and collaborators, working alongside local governments and communities to rebuild trust. This shift required a recalibration of Jedi training. Younglings and Padawans were now taught not only combat and philosophy, but also diplomacy, empathy, and cultural understanding. Anakin Skywalker, having witnessed both the fall of Sidious and the fragility of his own convictions, became a reluctant but vital figure in this new era. Under Windu's guidance, Anakin struggled to reconcile his emotions with the principles of the Jedi. His bond with Padmé Amidala remained a source of both strength and conflict, as their relationship tested the Order's traditional stance on attachment. Ultimately, the Jedi Council adopted a more nuanced view, acknowledging that love and connection, when balanced, could enrich a Jedi's perspective rather than corrupt it. Padmé, meanwhile, rose to prominence in the Senate as a leading voice for reform. Her efforts, alongside allies like Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, aimed to address the systemic inequalities that had fueled the separatist movement. These reforms, though widely supported, faced resistance from powerful corporate interests and entrenched bureaucrats. The tension between progressives and conservatives within the Senate mirrored the broader struggles of a galaxy trying to heal its wounds while grappling with its past. The Republic's transition to peace was further complicated by the remnants of the Separatist alliance. Though the loss of Sidious and the capture of Count Dooku had weakened the movement, splinter factions persisted. General Grievous, now a leader without a master, became a rogue force of destruction. His campaigns of terror against both Republic and Separatist worlds drew the Jedi into a prolonged and costly effort to neutralize him. When Grievous was finally defeated, it marked the end of the Clone Wars, but the scars of the conflict lingered. The clones themselves faced an uncertain future. With the deactivation of the inhibitor chips, many clones began to question their role in the galaxy. Some sought to integrate into civilian life, while others remained loyal to the Republic's military. The Jedi worked closely with sympathetic senators to ensure the clones were treated with dignity and respect, advocating for programs to help them transition to independent lives. This effort, while noble, was met with mixed results, as the clones grappled with their identities and the lingering stigma of being created solely for war. The Jedi's mission to eradicate the remnants of the Sith brought them into contact with hidden dangers across the galaxy. Sith artifacts, temples, and holocrons, long buried or forgotten, began to resurface. These relics attracted the interest of dark side cults, opportunistic treasure hunters, and even scholars fascinated by their power. The Jedi formed specialized teams to recover and secure these objects, a task fraught with peril. These missions tested the resolve and discipline of the Jedi, as the allure of the dark side remained ever present. One such discovery led to a confrontation with a new threat, a shadowy faction calling themselves the Acolytes of the Void. This group, composed of Force-sensitive individuals disillusioned with both the Jedi and the Sith, sought to harness the power of the dark side without allegiance to its teachings. They believed the galaxy's suffering was the result of the Jedi and Sith's millennia-long conflict and sought to forge their own path. The Acolytes became a thorn in the side of both the Republic and the Jedi, their guerrilla tactics and radical ideology sparking localized uprisings. As the galaxy continued to rebuild, the Republic faced a delicate balancing act. The war had exposed the inefficiencies and corruption within its institutions, but the effort to reform them was slow and contentious. The Outer Rim, in particular, remained a hotbed of unrest. Many systems, feeling abandoned by the Republic during the war, resisted reintegration. These tensions were exacerbated by criminal syndicates, which capitalized on the chaos to expand their influence. The Jedi, stretched thin, found themselves increasingly reliant on local partnerships to maintain order. The Jedi Order itself underwent profound changes. Mace Windu's leadership, though respected, was not without opposition. Some members of the Council, including Yoda, questioned the wisdom of taking such an active role in galactic affairs. Yoda, while acknowledging the need for reform, cautioned against losing sight of the Jedi's spiritual roots. This philosophical divide led to a series of heated debates within the Order, ultimately resulting in a compromise. The Jedi would continue their outreach efforts, but remain vigilant against becoming too enmeshed in politics. Anakin Skywalker's journey became emblematic of the Jedi's evolving philosophy. His struggles with attachment, anger, and redemption mirrored the Order's broader struggle to adapt to a changing galaxy. Over time, Anakin came to embody the balance between passion and discipline, his experiences serving as a guide for future generations of Jedi. His relationship with his children, Luke and Leia, became a source of profound change within the Order. Recognizing the importance of family and connection, the Jedi began to explore new ways of understanding the Force that incorporated these elements. Padmé's leadership in the Senate proved crucial to the Republic's recovery. Her vision of a more inclusive and accountable government inspired hope, but it also made her a target for those who sought to maintain the status quo. Assassination attempts and political sabotage became commonplace, forcing Padmé to rely on her allies and her own resilience to persevere. Through her efforts, key reforms were passed, including measures to reduce corporate influence and improve representation for marginalized systems. The galaxy's recovery was a slow and uneven process, marked by setbacks and triumphs alike. Regional conflicts, economic disparities, and lingering mistrust kept the Republic on edge, but the collective desire for peace provided a unifying force. The Jedi, though no longer the detached guardians of old, played a vital role in this era of rebuilding. Their willingness to evolve, to embrace both tradition and change, allowed them to guide the galaxy toward a more stable future. Yet the threat of the dark side remained ever present. The Jedi's efforts to safeguard the galaxy were constantly tested by those who sought power for its own sake. The lessons of Sidious's rise and fall were etched into the collective memory of the Order, serving as a reminder that vigilance and humility were essential to their mission. The galaxy that emerged from the ashes of the Clone Wars was one defined by hope tempered with caution. It was a galaxy where the Jedi, the Republic, and its citizens worked together to forge a brighter future, even as they acknowledged the challenges that lay ahead. It was not a perfect galaxy, but it was one where the ideals of justice, balance, and unity had a chance to take root and flourish. In this altered timeline, the shadow of the Sith had been lifted, and though the path forward was uncertain, the galaxy moved toward a new dawn.